Well, hey guys, it's Darwin, and it has been quite some time since I've done one of these videos. 4 years in fact, but due to popular demand and request, and the fact that I have a pretty decent sized backpacking trip coming up in California, today I want to share with you how I pack all of my gear, that's with a full comfort setup and even extra camera equipment, into something like a 35-liter pack for my spring and my summer hikes to make myself more efficient and comfortable on the trail. Okay, so lately, I have been using a lot of different packs and a lot of different gear setups for some of my other trips that I've done this year, from my winter backpacking trips early this year to my recent trek through the Himalayas and my climb of Island Peak. But the setup that I'm gonna show you today, I would say is what I use on the trail about 9 out of 10 times when I'm doing a section hike or a backpacking trip with friends, especially in the spring, the summer, and then maybe early fall. And where I don't consider myself ultra light anymore, there's still a bit of an emphasis on weight and simplicity. Mainly because, well, I want to save my knees. I don't have the best knees, and I just want to be more comfortable on trail. And if I can shed the weight in certain areas and make the pack setup simple, then I can afford to carry heavier things like a bigger camera, maybe some bigger comfort items, just to make my time on trail more enjoyable. So before we start packing it, I guess let's unpack it. Editing magic. All right, so first up is my pack, which is actually made by my company. This is the Evolved Supply Co. Ranger pack. It's a 35-liter frameless roll top pack, and it does have a removable padded hip belt. I would say about 9 times out of 10, I don't really use my hip belt, especially if I'm just doing like a 2 or 3 day trip. But if I am doing a bigger trip, maybe over 3 days, maybe 5 days, where I'm having to carry extra food or extra water, I will add that hip belt just to give myself a little bit more stability and put some of that weight on my hips. And a lot of times I'll actually take this off and put it inside of my pack. Now for this trip, I'm not sure if I'm gonna use my hip belt or not, but that is something that I do from time to time. So the first thing that I'm gonna put inside of my pack, regardless, no matter what, is a pack liner. And this is a pretty cheap Nylofume pack liner. The reason I always use a pack liner is because in the past, I have definitely gotten to camp and had my sleep system and my extra clothes and my thermal layers soaking wet and having to sleep in that, which is no fun. So even though it might seem redundant, because a pack like this is highly water resistant, it has the seams taped, and it is a laminated material, I still always use a pack liner no matter what environment that I'm gonna be in, just so I can keep that like last line of defense dry. So I'm gonna put that inside of my pack before I put anything else inside. The next thing that I'm gonna do, because it is a frameless pack, I've been doing this for years. I used to do it with my sleeping pad, but now I actually use my 1/8 inch foam pad. This is a folded version of the 1/8 inch foam pad. I'll actually put this down inside and use it as a backscape because it kind of adds a bit of a frame to my pack and it keeps stuff from poking me in my back. Now I'm gonna slip this down outside of my pack liner. That way, throughout the day, if I want to stop and take a break or stretch or use it, I can open my pack up and I can slide it out whenever I need it and slide it back in whenever I am ready to start hiking again. That's gonna go in there next, like I said, just like a backscape to give myself a bit of a frame and protect my back. The next thing that I'm gonna put in my pack, because I know that I'm not gonna need it till the end of the day when I get into camp, is my sleep system and my extra clothes. So something I've been doing for years is I actually keep all of my extra clothes, my tights, my extra socks, my beanie, and my sleep shirt in the foot box of my sleeping quilt. And then I put everything inside of one of these DCF roll top bags. Again, extra waterproofing, just in case it starts raining. I don't want any of this stuff to get wet. This is what I always call my last line of defense. If I'm soaking wet when I get into camp at the end of the day, this is the stuff that I want to make sure is dry. So I'm gonna stick that down in there horizontally. And I always put things in my pack horizontally in kind of a stacking motion because it fills out the pack, and with my quilt and all of that extra weight and bulk being in the bottom, it sort of gives the pack a bit of a base. So that's gonna go in there. The next thing that I'm gonna put on top of my sleeping quilt and all the stuff that I am gonna be sleeping with is going to be my sleeping pad. So I used to take my sleeping pads and I would fold them up like this, and I would use them as my backscape, but now that I use that 1/8 inch foam pad, it's just a little bit easier to use. It's a little bit better to use. So I'm gonna take this and again, I'm gonna put that right on top of my sleeping quilt. So that's in there, ready to go. So now on top of my pad, the next thing, again, because I'm probably not gonna use it until I get to camp at the end of the day, is gonna be my thermal jacket, my puffy. And I use a synthetic jacket. This is the Evolve Supply Co. Outcast. And inside of my pockets of my jacket, I keep my gloves, because odds are, especially if I'm hiking in the spring or the summer or even early fall, I'm not gonna need my gloves until the end of the day when the sun goes down and it starts getting chilly. So I usually will keep those in the pocket of my jacket so they are there, I know where they're at, and they're ready to go. Every once in a while, I'll take my gloves and put them in my bottom pocket if I know that I'm gonna need to access them throughout the day, or if I start out and it's a chilly morning, but most of the time they are in my jacket pocket. So I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna put that down inside, and I'm gonna use that to fill in the space around my sleeping pad and around my quilt, making sure that there's no dead space anywhere, and giving the pack kind of a nice shape. The next thing that I'm gonna put on top of that, if I'm carrying it, is gonna be kind of an extra thermal layer, or something like a sweater, a fleece, a base layer, something like that. I'm gonna take that, and again, I'm probably not gonna access that to the end of the day, so I'm gonna put that right on top, fill in that space, so there's no extra dead space, everything's filling out nice in the pack, and now that is sitting on top of the jacket. Because again, if I get to camp and it's a little bit chilly, I'm probably gonna grab that first. Then I might put on my jacket if I need a little more warmth, then my sleeping pad, then my sleep system. Before I put anything else in my pack, at this point, I'm actually going to roll up the pack liner. So I will typically twist my pack liner and then shove it down into the side of the pack. Mainly because everything else that I'm gonna put on top of this, there's a chance that it could be wet. My shelter could be wet if it's damp in the morning. So I wanna make sure all of this stuff, kind of from the middle of the pack down, stays nice and dry, because I'm not gonna access it till the end of the day. And all the other stuff, I'm probably gonna access throughout the day, so I don't wanna have to keep opening up my pack liner all day long. So the next thing that I'm gonna do once I close up my pack liner is I'm gonna put in my food and my cook system. So I have my food bag here that's got about 2.5 days of food in it, just to kind of simulate size. But inside of my food bag, not only am I gonna keep my food, but I'm also gonna keep my cook system, because odds are I'm not gonna use my cook system unless I'm actually accessing my food. So I wanna make sure all of that is together. So inside of my cook pot, I actually store all of my stuff. So first off, inside, my little light load towel for drying out my pot, for cleaning up any messes or anything like that, and to act as kind of a rattle protection. On top of the pot and inside the bottom, I'm gonna put my stove. I'm gonna take my Bic mini lighter, put that in there, and then I'm gonna take my fuel can and put that right on top of those items. And then I'll typically just kind of shove this in there. That way, nothing is rattling around while I'm hiking all day. I will put my lid on top, and then I actually use a little DCF stuff sack to fit all this in. That way the lid's not popping off of my pot and rattling around throughout the day inside of my food bag. I'm gonna shove that down with my food, and then also put my long handle spoon in there. Again, everything that I need to cook or eat food is all gonna be in this one spot. And I'm gonna take my food bag, and again, I'm gonna set it in my pack horizontally to create that stacking motion on top of my now twisted and closed pack liner. So let's shove that down in there. All right, so the next thing that I'm gonna put on top of that is gonna be my tent. The main reason I wanna put this basically all the way on top is in case it's wet from condensation in case it rained the night before. It's not gonna get all of my other stuff wet. So I'm gonna put that in there, again, horizontally. And the other good thing about having this on top is if I stop for a lunch break throughout the day and my tent is wet, the first thing I'm gonna grab is my tent so I can lay it out and dry it. Then the next thing is gonna be my food bag so I can eat lunch. And if I get to camp and it is raining, I know when I open up my pack, that tent is one of the first things that I'm gonna be able to grab to get my tent pitched and get out of the rain. And then the last thing that I'm gonna put up on top of my pack and kind of stuff it around and fill some of those negative spaces is my rain jacket. Again, probably one of the first things I wanna grab out of my pack if it starts raining throughout the day. The other reason I put this on top is not only to fill out all the negative space around the tent, but to also kind of act as a little bit of a, I guess, extra waterproof barrier on top of everything else. So I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna shove that in there, fill in all that negative space that I have, and then I am now ready to close up the top of my pack. So all of my main gear is now inside the pack, rolled down and ready to go. The next thing that I'm gonna focus on is my big front pocket. So what I'm gonna put out here are things that I might wanna access throughout the day or things that might be dirty or wet. So the first thing that I'm gonna put out here are my tent stakes. Again, because they might be dirty. They might have dirt and mud all over them. They might be wet from the night before. So I'm gonna take those and I'm gonna stick those down in the side all the way towards the bottom. So they're there, easy access. And again, if they're wet, they're on the outside of the pack, not a big deal. What I'm gonna put on the other side is my poop kit. So my trowel and my bidet, I usually keep it in a little Ziploc bag. I'll put that down there. So in case the moment arises, I have all of my poop kit stuff ready to grab and easy access on that side of the pack. And then down the middle, I'm going to put my ditty bag. I use a DCF waterproof roll top ditty bag because inside of here, I'm gonna keep things that I might wanna access throughout the day, but things that I also want to keep dry. So my first aid kit, my repair kit, my hygiene kit, in case I wanna brush my teeth throughout the day, and my electronics. They're inside of here, also inside of separate little Ziploc bags, just to keep them extra dry. So I'm gonna take that, and I'm gonna shove that down in the middle. So now, on the outside of my pack, in my pocket, I have all the things that I might wanna access easily throughout the day without opening my pack. The last thing that I'm gonna put in this front pocket towards the top are my extra glasses. So these are my sunglasses, a little case that I have. If I'm wearing my sunglasses, obviously I gotta find a place to put my glasses. I'll put those in here, and then I'll just put them here on top of the pocket so I can easily grab them throughout the day. If it starts getting dark, I can switch my glasses around. If it starts getting bright, I can switch my glasses around. But just right there on top where I know exactly where they're at. All right, the next thing that I'm gonna focus on are my side pockets, the sides of my pack. So on this side of the pack, I'm gonna keep all of my camera stuff. This is the extra stuff that I might wanna access throughout the day to shoot with my camera. The reason I keep it on the left side of my pack is because my camera is usually strapped to my left shoulder strap. So I like to carry an extra big tripod, kind of not the small ones that I used to carry, but something that's a little bit bigger for nicer shots. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna stick that down the side. I used to stick my trekking poles on the side, but most times I'm carrying my trekking pole. Next up, inside of the pocket, I'm gonna put more camera items. So my microphone, in case I wanna grab that and do a little bit of talking head while I'm hiking for you guys. And my lens filter, my camera filter, in case it gets really bright and blown out, I can throw this on my camera. I'm gonna slap that down in the side pocket as well. Going over to my right side pocket, I'm gonna keep all of my hydration items in this pocket. So first up is obviously a water bottle. The bottle that I'm gonna store water in that I'm gonna drink throughout the day. I usually use just a 1 liter disposable bottle. So I'm gonna put that in the side pocket so I can easily grab that out as I'm hiking throughout the day. And then in front of that, I'm going to keep my water filter and a 1 liter bladder bottle, or whatever you wanna call it. Not only to filter and put dirty water in, but if I need to carry extra water and I need to carry 2 liters of water, I can fill that up put that in the side, and then I have 2 water bottles in the side pocket to be able to carry. So I'm gonna stick that down there. So all of my hydration stuff is on my right side. So super efficient. I know exactly where everything is on my pack when I go to grab it. And the last thing, really the last thing, is gonna be my shoulder straps. So I kind of store stuff up on my shoulder straps that, again, I want quick access throughout the day. So first up, on my right strap, I have a little shoulder pocket. And inside of there, I'm gonna keep things that I might use throughout the day, like my headphones if I wanna listen to a podcast or music, and my phone. Not only for music, making calls, but also for navigation, because I use navigation apps. I'm gonna put that up there. So everything is easily accessible. And then on the left side, I'm going to strap my camera to it. So I have this little PD capture clip that's attached here on the strap. And then I'm gonna take my big, bulky, heavy camera, and I'm gonna attach that right there. The reason I like that, number one, is because I can grab it really easy and take a shot and put it back. The other reason is it takes some of that weight off of my back. Like if I kept it in my pack, it would be extra weight on my back. It's nice to kind of distribute some of that weight and keep it up here. And then really the last thing that I'm going to pack in my pack are gonna be things like my snacks. And again, maybe if I'm wearing gloves in the morning, or maybe I'm wearing my rain jacket and I need to take it off, I am gonna put all of that inside of my bottom pocket. So this pack actually has a bottom pocket. I can put my snacks in there, so as I'm hiking throughout the day, I can reach in, I can grab my snacks, I can take my gloves off, I can stick those in that pocket. Just easy access items on the outside of the pack. And again, everything that I have inside the pack, odds are I'm not gonna use that stuff unless I'm stopping for an extended period of time for something like a lunch break or to set up camp. And well, that's it, guys. That's how I pack all of my backpacking items, a full kit. You know, that is a full cook system, a full tent, a nice thick blow up pad, an extra pad for lounging and stretching, extra clothes, food, everything, plus extra heavy camera equipment and things like a big tripod. That's how I get all that stuff in a 35-liter pack. Again, for me, it's not that I'm trying to be ultra light anymore. It's more that I'm trying to make a simple, efficient pack. As you can see, I'm able to put all of that gear, and that's quite a bit of gear, especially if you think about the extra camera equipment and stuff. I'm able to put all of that and still have quite a bit of room. I mean, if I take the pack and I roll this collar out, you can see I still have quite a bit of pack left to be able to put even more stuff in if I needed it to. So that's when I talk about being efficient on the trail, that's more what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about hiking fast. I'm not talking about being cool. I'm basically talking about having a pack setup that's efficient. I'm not rummaging around to find what I'm looking for. I have the least amount of stuff that's not gonna fail on me, I'm not gonna lose, and it's comfortable. I have a full comfort setup, and that way I can enjoy more of my time in the backcountry doing the thing that we all went out to the trail to do in the first place, and that is enjoy nature. So I don't know how you guys would leave this as a comment, but how do you pack your pack? Is there a specific way that you pack your pack and put everything in there like I do horizontally? Do you have a method? If you do, leave it down below in the comment section. I would love to know your guys' thoughts. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourselves. I hope you're taking care of each other. I love you, and as always, thanks for watching.